Hello, be very welcome once again to As Above, So Below. If you clicked in this video, this is in no way a form of propaganda. I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not interested in lobbies. Um, I'm just looking forward to share a little bit of some insights that I had last night while I was trying to fall asleep, and then there were two attacks, one of religious purposes in Portugal, where I actually live, and the other one was another gun attack inside a school. So that's it. That's the only thing I want to do. I'm not judging in any way. Any structure. I just know that with Pluto in Aquarius, they're going to exist major changes, and we're just going to have to deal with them. So, what do I want to say with this? So, as you know, yesterday, time is different in US. I'm a little bit, I get a little bit emotional with this because I met two Columbine survivors back when I was a foreign exchange student in Tennessee, and this happened in Tennessee. So this is a little bit of my insight concerning all of this, because yesterday I was collecting data because I usually share celebrities or people that I found that are interesting according to their sun and moon combination. So one of the first ones that came up was obviously Maynard James Keenan. He was in the army, he's American, he's a musician, he does so many things, and he's known to be quite aggressive, but at the same time quite discerning with his emotions and his depthness of thought. Um, there were other people, interesting people: Aretha Franklin, Emma Thompson, Heath Ledger, so many others who have this really creative sun with this really sensitive moon. And I immediately, and I have already done an episode about Maynard and the album, the Tool album, 10,000 Days, concerning his mother and her faith, in God, and his lack of faith. And because it was really aggressive towards his mother's faith, in the beginning there's a song called Judith where he insults her superficiality of thought, and he criticizes her faith. So it changes a lot, because 3 years later there he was, composing Wings for Mary Part 1 and 2, talking about how it was it was something, even if it was disturbing for him at first, he came up, in his own terms, to accept his mother's faith and, consider herself being an angel. The reason I'm doing this is always the same. I want to connect energies and people, and I consider that, energies are all the same in different bodies time after time, and it's our job to change our ways and to learn and to be more discerning and be more connected to ourselves and to others. So I was doing these lists yesterday, and I came up with, I'm not going to say this boy's name, I'm sorry, but I came up with the profile of one of the authors of Columbine massacre. and this boy is also has this combination, sun in Aries and moon in Cancer. And his moon in Cancer is connected to his vortex, also in Cancer, in the 8th house. That's the house of death and regeneration. He had also the North Node in Leo in the 9th house. The other boy was born in 9/11. Another curious time to address, but I was sick to my stomach yesterday because, as you know, United States are going through a Pluto return right now. And the thing that strikes me the most is, being the United States born under a sign, Cancer sign. It means that for a long, long time, United States were the home for people who were homeless, who didn't have a country, a motherland, whatever you want to call it, and received people at the same time, but perhaps it was able to receive but not love every single person the same way. Is how I see United States going through this Pluto return, is like receiving all these people during all these years and all these decades and all these centuries, not being able to love all their, all his or her children the same way. So why am I seeing this, or why am I saying this? Because every single massacre that was connected to this time and place always messes up with 2 points. One is the Leo Aquarius axis, the other one is Cancer Capricorn axis, and of course Moon in Cancer or in Aries, and of course Chiron in Aries. It strikes to me that USA was born on 4th of July. Its North Node is in Leo in the 8th house. It's just like, you were meant, to be created, and be directed into this huge country with a huge influence. Yeah, you have Jupiter in Cancer in the 7th house, but all the rest, Vertex, Mercury, Sun, is, it's in Cancer in the 8th house. So it's a lot of action, a lot of regeneration, a lot of death, a lot of, a lot of chaos, and dissonance at the same time. And having Mars in the 7th house in Gemini, it's even worse. And connecting Lilith in Leo with the 9th house, it's even worse. So almost every single massacre, you have Columbine, you have Sandy Hook, you have Parkland, you have this Nashville more recently, and you always have an opposition or a T-square between Mars and Saturn, Mars and Pluto, Mars and Neptune, Mars and Moon, and it's painful to see. It's almost like, because Columbine was the first, it's almost like, when you think about Chiron and Chiron was a centaur, it was the almost like a Jesus Christ figure, was the one that sacrificed for humankind. And Chiron is a centaur, it's considered a teacher, they are considered themselves teachers, and it's almost like, that this place of cure and wounding in the United States is always appearing in these places, the places where you have teachers and where you have children, because it's the moon. And even if it was Mars in Cancer, it was the moon that appeared in here, striking. The Cancer and Aries is just like an aggression to the mother figure, aggression to birth, aggression to the origin. And it is because the future of a country, the past of a country is, it's always their children. It's the children. They're always me. They are always the future. They'll always be the future. So for me, it strikes me just like that, all these things happen. And I was, I was sick to my stomach because I was doing the list, and 1 or 2 hours later, there was this, this news all over, the media, and I was just like, oh no, not again. And it was just like, the same thing. It was the same thing. Columbine happened, in the 20th April with Sun in Taurus, and the rising and the moon were in Cancer. The midheaven was in Aries, just like Jupiter, just like now. Jupiter is in Aries as well, and the north node was in Leo. So Pluto right now is in Aquarius, and all I can think about is just back in the day, in the 18th century, perhaps the 18th century, perhaps there was the necessity for people to stick to the Second Amendment because, they had to protect themselves. But right now, these things, and not attending and not understanding the tissue and the population of their own country is only doing more harm, okay, to children, to teachers, to people. I'm not going to talk about the person that did this. I'm not going to talk about any other stuff concerning this. It's just like, if this doesn't change right now, and because 1999 was a near one, should have been a change concerning this. Right now we have the North Node in Aries. If we don't change this, when we reach the year of 2027, it's going to be worse because the North Node is going to be in Aquarius. It's going to be a full circle over this. This is far of being over. And I was expecting other people, like war veterans and sociopaths and known psychopaths, American, that serve today as entertainment in several, movies and TV shows. And they always have these three things connected: Capricorn, Cancer moon, or moon in Aries. And they always have, their midheaven in Cancer or in Capricorn, and there's always an opposition. It's almost like, they felt, or someone felt, it's just like I was saying, it's a kind of weird, interesting phenomena that these people are manifesting themselves as the most low and negative traits of their own country. It's what I feel. They are manifesting like superstars of the North Node of Leo in the 8th house, like superstars or heroes, but they are heroes, anti-heroes, or veterans, because, USA has always been connected with being the rescuer, but also provoking so much death and so much, concern all over the world. Just they're like, they publicize that, that there's always, they are taking care of the world, but what happens is this big, huge autocracy that's being held, and and serves just like, an example to the world. But this has to change. Gun control has to change. And we have to be aware, of these three phases, until, because the next 20 years Pluto is going to be in Aquarius, and there's a huge shift in the next 3 the next 3 months that have to be, people have to be aware. Right now we have Chiron in Aries, just like before, just like the other, the other shootings. And they are all square or opposite Saturn and Pluto. That's it. We have to do better, and whoever gets, or has the power to change this just has to do it. That's it. I hope this has been useful and a starting point for you guys to inspect not only these phenomena, but as well in your own country. Soon I'm going to do more videos about, about astrology and politics and horary astrology. I think it's really important for us to absorb the recent, because we have Saturn in Pisces as well, religion, spirituality, everything is, is important right now to consider. We have to talk about this as soon as possible, and this has to stop. That's it. I hope this has been useful, and now many kisses to everyone who's seeing around the world, and over and out. Thank you.